And I studied law for many years, and I was even working at law, and suddenly discovered the internet in the 94, more or less. No? There was black screens with people chatting there. No? And I was fascinated with that. And I started to learn, I started to have the first work. So we were creating our profession while we were working. No? So this is still a hobby for me. And then I get paid for doing consulting gigs and things like that with a big company, for big companies. But at the same time, I have another life, which is more or less what I'm talking here. It's about designing society and the impact of business in people. No? So today the idea is talking about one thing that I call meaningful frictions. I don't know if you know what is that. The issue is that for many years the people from Silicon Valley, from all the technology, are talking about frictionless. And for me, something that is frictionless is something that could tend to be sad. No? Not having for instance, when you go in a taxi and you give the card, you're giving something, and the taxi driver is giving you back something. You say, thank you, no? Bye-bye, here it is, press the button. You're talking, you are creating some interactions, no? And also when you're buying with the press of a button, you're not going to the shop in your neighborhood. You are destroying somehow some of the interactions that can build a social fabric. Now, these are small frictions that allow you to create a conversation, that allow you to create some even disengagement, which is good. No? We have to live together. It's not about, no, I don't want to see people, I want to solve everything pressing buttons. No? And this is a little bit what we're seeing with technology nowadays. We're seeing a lot of people trying to eliminate all the frictions. No? Everything's from home, with the mobile phone, without talking with anyone. We travel with headphones. Now they have this noise cancelling, which I have. So you are totally isolating yourself, and you are not participating in a social life. And you're very active, maybe in Instagram, but you're not active on the street. No? So for me, it's about how technology can move from frictionless and eliminate the frictions that are not valuable, and substitute them with meaningful frictions. This good morning, how are you? These small interactions that I think they have value. And it happens that in many cases, these meaningful frictions happens in the cultural world. I mean, in bookstores, in libraries, in many places, in squares, places where the people gather. No? And I think you are, I think, more of the responsible of this meaningful frictions thing. No? And another thing that I'm seeing is people are talking about digital, but the more digital, the more face-to-face interactions that I have. I'm traveling a lot around the world, I'm giving a lot of talks. You are here together physically. You could have this through video conference, but you're here physically. You decided that, no? And also we're using a lot of paper. If you go to our offices, they are full of paper. And then we digitalize everything, and then we present it. But we use a lot, it looks like an old school. With paper, colors, walls, people together in a room, sharing and sweating together, no? And this is what the world that I think we can think about, no? Not this cold world of people, disconnected people. So, as we said, when you're designing something, you are not designing a product for today. You're designing a product that is going to exist in the future, no? So you have to understand what is happening now, what are your consumers, and what it will be in the future. So you're designing something that is going to be used because it doesn't exist normally, no? And we have like two different ways of thinking, no? One is the dominion, it's about domination, scale, competition, isolation, standardization, which is the typical corporation or corporate dynamics. It's about numbers, it's about being big. People, as you can see here, they are like they're not interacting, they're totally isolated. They're like a big Excel spreadsheet. No? And now they are being automated because the work is processing information. But at the same time, you have in another side, this is people that are more oriented to careers. No? And the people that we're seeing is the community people. There are people that they care about their craft. They care about collaboration, about the face-to-face creativity. They work in a different way. So we're finding that a lot of big corporations, what they're doing, they're buying this type of companies, of cultures. They're buying design companies, small startups. They're buying community culture because they are this way of working normally it gets alienated. No, so we're finding these two tensions. No, you have the big scale, the big corporation, the big platform, and on the other side you have the small communities and people doing things together in small circles. No? So this is the tension on where we are living. In fact, I used to work in a design company. It was acquired by a big consulting company. And we were like 200, and we designed products and services. We transformed technology into experiences, because corporations weren't good at designing experiences. They were good at making numbers and deploying technology, but not at transforming this technology into experiences. No? And what we're finding now is, this is Adobe. If you know Adobe, the publishing and design software company, they are designing this, the Adobe Kickbox. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's a physical box full of cards and things to make people collaborate on a table. It's not software. And there are people that are certifying themselves. I don't know if you're familiar with design thinking, Lego Serious Play, things like that. No? This is more or less the movement, the Adobe movement, to make people get together on a table and start doing things together. Maybe it won't work, but there is something there that people are trying to connect in a physical way. No? And this is a software company creating a physical device to make people interact. No? Another thing is, this is Amazon 4-star stores. I don't know if you know this. The stores of physical stores, they put all the products that they have 4 stores or plus in the store. So this is a living store, because they are all the time tracking the numbers from the website, and also curating the content in a small space from all the catalog to put it in a small place. So again, how platforms and technology companies are getting to the physical space, to make people get together. This is JD.com. This is a supermarket. It's very similar to Amazon Go. They don't have, you pay with their face recognition, but they are also trying to move from e-commerce to physical spaces. What we see is that they're coming with a totally different way of doing things. It's more automated, more smart, whatever. And this is the flagship stores in many places. This is for cars. This is for many companies. What they're doing is trying to reimagine the way they do retail. And we see more examples in the presentation. And obviously, this is the esports thing. You have people getting together to watch people playing video games. It's not Twitch. It's people going to a place. So there is a need of people to get together and doing things together and share experiences and all these human things. It's not about being isolated all the time. And I don't know if you know this artist. Let me see. There is the sound, please. No, there is no sound. Okay, this is I don't remember the name now. She's a hologram. I don't remember the name because I usually say it. And this avatar is doing is crowding many places, and she was touring. I think 3 years ago, she was in Madrid, which is stupid because she's an hologram, so she could be anywhere. But what they're doing is putting this avatar on tour, so the people can go and visit and gather around her. So it's totally different experience. You are seeing a hologram. It's not real. It's totally virtual. And now in Japan, what they're doing also is Hatsune Miku is the name. Sorry. What they're doing is also creating Alexa, like a small box like Alexa, which is called the Magic Box, and they have this avatar inside. So it's talking with you when you are outside of the house or whatever. So these are the hybrid experiences, how technology is being used in a different way. It's not a screen, as you can see. So we are now in I love this god. I don't know, maybe because you are from the culture sector, you know who is this guy. Do you know? Who's this guy? Janus? He's the god of transitions and the god of beginnings and the ends, in the Rome. In fact, he's the first god of the Roman, how do you say, la diosoteca? Godteca? I don't know how to say it in English. Okay, so he's looking at the past. He has a legacy, a history, tradition, what we know, but at the same time, he's looking to the future, what is to come, which is about imagine the future, and it's about surprise, it's about inspiration, it's about different things. So I think with these transitional moments that we are living in a hybrid moment. It's about, we're transitioning, the old world and the old economy is not valid anymore. We are trying to change, but we have sustainability crisis, equality, technology coming, robots, artificial intelligence, but we still don't know what is the right model. We're finding that. So what we see is that the old is not valid, but the new still is not here. So this is creating a lot of anxiety in people. No? This is more or less what many people are speculating about the future. And you have a lot of people playing with that. No? You have people playing with, if you watch Black Mirror. By the way, today is the last season. So the people are trying to interpret what means technology. No? So when you talk about the sector in your industry, the idea is what is the mindset in the sector? It's community. It's about getting people together and doing things together. It's about domination. Maybe the publishing corporation is about domination. Maybe it's about competition. But at the same time, they're serving communities. No? So we are living in this hybrid moment. No? So we are talking about times of change all the time. And there is a quote that one guy from The Economist said that the speed of change will never be as slow as it is today. Personally, I'm a little bit tired of change and this type of quotes, no? Because it's like a hyperventilation. It's like a again and again. No? More change and more change and more change. No? So we have the typical S-curve of any industry or any. You have a moment of growth, then you stall, and then you start like going down. No? And this is more or less what happens in many organizations. They change logarithmically. They start growing a lot, and then they get flat, and then they. And then we have the exponential curve, no? And here the issue is that it's about technology, no? Or how the new players are playing or not having any legacy, any technology, so that they are starting without any type of legacy, no? So technology normally bring this type of opportunities, no? So we have a lot of companies around, and then you have regulations and policies, which is something like that. Always they are behind the change, no? So what happens here is that we need like a new operative system. No, we have the gap is increasing every time. No, so sometimes the people say I can stand this no more, so the people stop, and you have like bubbles. No, the market doesn't have the capability to absorb all the changes that are happening. No, and you have. I think there are like a digital inflection in the market. We are seeing a lot of companies that are tired of digital transformation, and they need to stop and assimilate all the changes that have made. No? And we will have a new wave in, I think, in not maybe 2-3 years. No? But now I think we are like digital technology is going up, but also the possibilities of many companies and society to absorb new technologies is slowing down a little bit because it's going too fast. No? So when we work with these parts, no, we have one side. In this part, and then in that. Sorry. Animations. Okay. We have, from one side, the techno-fundamentalists, people that think that the world is an algorithm and technology will solve everything. And they think about this utopia, no? This like Silicon Valley mentality. No? Everything is abundant. Technology brings all the opportunities. I don't want this physical body because it's totally. I don't want flesh. I want to upload my brain in the cloud. No, you have. I'm an algorithm. No, you have this transhumanism and posthumanism thing. No, they talk about singularity and all these things that makes technology and artificial intelligence look like a new religion. No, and you have people that are totally pushing for technology. No, and at the same time we have in the other side the technophobes. People that are totally scared and afraid of technology and the changes that they're bringing. We're talking about neo-Luddites, people that are trying to destroy the machines again, like in the Industrial Revolution. We have also people that disengage totally from technology, people that are afraid. And what happens here is we have populism and localization. People don't want to be global because they feel like they're going to be out of society. No? At the same time, in the middle, we have, I think, which is the segments that are more typical people that are moving the market, no? Which is the realists, people that are very pragmatic, skeptics with all the technology hype, and also they are late adopters, more or less. No? And at the same time, they say, okay, nothing will happen. There's going to be, we will go through this together. No? And also you have the techno-optimists. They're innovators, disruptors, and early adopters. No? And they say also that technology will help to improve the world. No? So the problem with technology we're seeing is that it is in many, when you talk about from the dominion perspective, is that people think about winners and losers. That's the main challenge. And we're now thinking about community. This is why we're talking about inclusiveness, equality, diversity, things like that. Because we're trying to get this place in the middle. We're trying to bridge the gap between the exponential change and also the capability of change of many organizations. So we have people that are like Janus, people that are trying to mediate between change and what is not going to change, the interpreting and also connecting things. So there is no sound, please, sonido. A ver. It's okay, it's okay. It's working. This is one experiment that people did like years ago about imagining a world without news. It was very interesting because in the end what we see is that media makes money scaring people in many cases. It's like the reptilian brain all the time pushing here, clickbait, getting money because they get pennies. When you have a physical world, it was easier because you pay for something physical. But the problem is that today, you need to make a lot of clicks. You need to bring a lot of people. You need to get a lot of scale. So you are doing whatever it takes to get audience because you are making money in pennies. As you can see, imagine a world with there is no news, everything are good news. I think many people don't want that. It seems that we love bad news. Okay, so if we take a little bit of perspective and we think about the Industrial Revolution, this is what Geoffrey Jones said. He's an academic historian. He said, if you go back and read what people wrote in the 19th century, they thought change was happening at an incredible rate we had never seen before. And you have, in those years, also the change was huge. It was magical like now. It was very, very fast. You have a world changing with a lot of pollution. You have people talking about the destruction of jobs. You have a lot of crises, the people trying to make sense of all the change that was happening. You have the Gothic terror novels, the machine and the people. It was a lot of movements trying to make sense of what was happening. And now it's happening again. I think we're having a lot of science fiction again, because people are trying to exorcise their fears. So when we talk about technology and its promises, this is in 1968. I don't know if you know Douglas Engelbart. Are you familiar with him? No? He used to work in one project that was about augmenting people. He was the responsible of designing the mouse, the graphical interface, and he did one. There is one video you can use it in YouTube. It's called "The Mother of All Demos," and it's the man showing the first physical and graphical interface interacting to see how they can augment people. But at the same time, he tried to show how technology can de-augment people. So one of the experiments he did was, if I want to slow people writing, then I can put a brick in a pen. So the people write in a different way. So he was trying to experiment with ergonomics and all the things that can help people to be better with technology, like a tool, or being worse. So he was trying to do this, and one of the things he did was all the things that are familiar to us now, which are the graphical interface, the mouse, the keyboard, whatever. And this was this was there was like 2 years ago in London. There was an exhibition in the Design Museum. It was called Designing Freedom, and it was about the Californian ideology. It was all the counterculture. They were against using the money of the army, but at the same time being hippies. It was very interesting, the things in Silicon Valley. You have a lot of people talking about hacking the culture, creating new products and services, and giving freedom. And what they said was about designing freedom was about go where you want, see what you want, make what you want, say what you want, join who you want. This was more or less, if you see Facebook and many of the initiatives that were coming in the last years from California, were more or less something like this. It was And we have this guy, no, to make the world more open and connected, but suddenly he transformed himself and started saying things like this. No? This is, in fact, this is going related to media. It's not related to anything special. No? And then we have all these companies. Many of them, like Microsoft, we have also Google or Facebook or Apple. They have been with us like for many years. No? And these guys are good at one thing, which is experience. They are very good at losing money at the beginning and investing what the rest of other companies don't have. They're looking more in the long term. And also they are focused on the user experience. And this is why they get all the traction, or they get all the users. It's the main value proposition. So I think it's very interesting to see these guys, because these guys are working in the real exponential curve. They're using technology, advanced business models, data to create outstanding user experiences. Obviously, you have these guys, and at the same time, you have a lot of people that died. We are getting this, how it's called, survivor bias. No, you get the story of the winners, but there is a lot of. But the culture in California and Silicon Valley in all these ways allowed to create a lot of competition, and then having a lot of organizations that get they end up being leaders, no? And also what we have is this, the robots are coming. I don't know if you're familiar with Andrew Yang in New York. He's a candidate for the presidential elections, and his first program was called The Robots Are Coming. And you have the media, as we said before, creating, say hi to your machine overlords, artificial intelligence. They're scaring people, no? And then you have people that want the winners, no? Artificial intelligence is the new god. You have a lot of human plus movement. You have a lot of movements that they think that technology is everything, no? And as Pedro Domingo said, this is a guy that wrote a book. It's called The Master Algorithm. He said, people worry that computers will get too smart and take over the world. But the real problem is that they are too stupid, and they have already taken over the world. This is the reality. In fact, sometimes they are so stupid that it makes us even more stupid. It's like the brick in the pen with Douglas Engelbart, no? So, for me, one of the goals of this talk is about being a little bit critical with technology, trying to see what is really valid and what is not, no? Because there is a lot of noise, and everything seems to work perfectly, or work very badly, no? So the idea for me is being a little bit critical with this, no? And also, as we said, I work in the design sector, and now it's a movement in designers around the world that, for instance, you have the guy that designed the like button in Facebook or on Twitter. They are totally complaining about why did we do this? Because they say we were creating an addiction machine. So this is one of the things. In fact, you have all these influencers, all these people looking for likes all the time, no? And for followers, no? And it's even a business model, no? And the issue now, for instance, Instagram is saying about getting out of the likes or the followers of the people. So this will break the business model of influencers. But the problem is that many of the business models, they were designed to create addiction. In fact, there is when you do we do it user journeys, which is not the interaction with a product, but the adoption life cycle. When they discover the product and when they leave, you have different moments, and then you can have some small nudges, so the users get hooked with the application. Because this is how Snapchat, Facebook, and many companies live. They live for bringing audience to the service. No? So this is one thing that books, for instance, don't have. They have totally the opposite. No? They have a lot of competition around. And also, you have the new social risks of social media. All the young people looking for fame and for fortune or whatever, they are trying to take risky practices, no? And you have people are falling off buildings in search of the perfect Instagram shot. I'm sure, remembering myself when I was a teenager, I'm sure I would be dead now if I have this, because I will be jumping through many places to show off, no? So this is how technology can augment or de-augment us, no? And also, obviously, artificial empathy. This is one of my colleagues. He worked with the Obama campaign years ago, And they were talking about this concept, no? Artificial empathy is using technology and data to manipulate emotions. And this is what's happening with, for instance, with children when they play video games. For instance, one of my children years ago, he was totally in love with a friend in Minecraft. He didn't know the guy, so he was feeling like he was a very good friend. And I said, no, this is some pixels. It's not a, how do you know it's not a robot, no? And this is one of the things that I was like, hey, and when you find how people or brands are saying, I want the consumers to fall in love with me, and we are using data for that. So it's like an artificial empathy. What can be used for good and for bad, no? But this is one of the main risks. And then you have political risk, which is this data privacy thing, and also using technology, what happened in UK with Brexit, for instance, no? Doing campaigns to put in the reptilian brain just to make you vote something, to activate people in a different way. So you have like very laser-targeted interactions with messages because they are profiling you, no? In fact, one thing that I said is, maybe Facebook, for many people, would be the best psychologist. No? The people say, who should I marry, Joan or Helen, for instance? Well, Luis, you look more like Joan, but it's only the beginning, because knowing you and knowing her in the future, in three years' time, you will really fall in love with Helen. No? You don't know, because the idea is using the data and algorithms to make a profile of things from us that maybe we don't know. No? So this is, because in the end it's about selling advertising, selling products and services. So the artificial empathy thing is what is moving the European community with regulations, with privacy and security. This is why there is a lot of conversation about ethics now, about artificial intelligence and ethics. And we have the Cambridge Analytica thing. I don't know if you're familiar with it. No? Are you familiar with Cambridge Analytica thing? Yeah, no? Okay, so this is one of the issues. Using a platform to manipulate the emotions of people so you can get outcomes from that. No? And also we have, you know this? The deepfakes. It's called deepfake. It's using a personality with his voice and movements to make it look like it's a... So imagine Trump declaring war to Korea because somebody is putting this video. So what is right and what is wrong, what is real and what is not, this is a storytelling moment, no? Because this is a good story, I think, having a fake Donald Trump declaring war on Korea and destroying the planet, no? So we're having these situations where technology can be used in the wrong way. So we have to be aware of this. At the same time, it could be good having, for instance, Laurence Olivier, the guy that played Obi-Wan Kenobi, Alec Guinness, telling you a story, for instance. No? You can have that instead of having Trump declaring war. You can have different ways of doing stories. No? Have different actors, like they tried with Princess Leia in Star Wars. It was very uncanny. It was like, wow, I don't want to see this. No? But the possibilities are big. No? Let me see. And also, we have to understand what means technology in different cultures. Because, for instance, identity and privacy in China is totally different than Europe. No? You have this. This is the Tao Cafe, which is the same than Amazon Go. You can pay with face recognition. You have everything connected. At the same time, you have people controlling by face recognition different citizens. No? And in fact, like a month ago, there was some news that some guy that was stealing something was caught in a concert with 60,000 people. His face was recognized, and he was detained by police. No? And also we have the social credit. Are you aware of this? Do you know what the China social credit is? Who's not? No? Did you see Nosedive, a chapter in Black Mirror? There was one that was the people was giving points to her. So she had like a social reputation, social currency. It's the same, but on a state level. No, so they have like here they have different points. You have like a scoring table, the idea is that they're creating like a way of controlling social interactions, no? With data. And also when we talk about the work in the future, you can see that this is a Rolls-Royce. These are like a fleet that they go, a manned fleet. They don't have any sailor there, no? And the guy that is moving each of the fleets, they have like a room. It looks like a video game room, no? And what he's doing, he's changing the view from different ships. So he's controlling how he can dock the ship in the harbor, and also moving everything. No? So he's having, you don't need people for that. It's a prototype, but this is one of the goals. When technology wants to control everything, no? Sailors say that it's not the same, obviously it's not, no? The romantic side of sailing, but this is one of the things. So in the future, one of the things that we are seeing is that maybe companies will look like this in the future. So I don't know if we have like a layer of people that looks more like a esports game that work in an office. No, in fact, many of the we're talking about now in organizations about gamification, no, to engage employees. No, so and the interfaces are very old. They're like I don't know, like 50s in the 20th century. No, it's very forms. Everything's very boring, tedious. It's not. It doesn't make any. It doesn't give any value. No, so you have these guys in the picture who look like an Excel. So maybe the interfaces in the future and the way we work will be more similar to this. That because it's more responsive, it's real time. You have rich interfaces. You have a lot of data coming from the market because in the end it's very similar. And maybe the future of many companies will be something like that. So in fact, there are companies doing things not because of branding opportunities, but also for talent attraction, doing experiments with this type of work. No? I don't know if you saw this movie, Ender's Game. You know this. Everything is in science fiction. Science fiction is inspiring the digital revolution in the end. And also what we have is, this is the moment that we are living, many people. No? The people that are, for instance, I'm fortunate because I work in the digital sector, so I see the goods, but I'm seeing the bads. But in my case, I understand a lot of the people that are outside of this world, that when they feel this fear and anxiety. No? And this is when people talk about the hyperventilation of change, no? Because it's very negative. No? And it generates a lot of fear, and the people, when they have fear, they don't collaborate. They just get close, and they look for the strong leader, and they look for easy solutions. No? And you have all this situation in many of the news that the people is not interacting in the comments. They are like trolling each other. No? So this is one of the things. The people are not being able to assimilate information. They are just reacting all the time because they are all the time in tension. No? So this is the graphic. I think that the answer for all of this is culture and art, because it's the point where all people get together and debate, and they are not talking about the why, the what, and the how. They are talking about what if. No, it's a what if in a safe way. This is one of the things about the new methodologies of design. Design before used to be like a linear work. You have one idea, and then you implemented it through hierarchy and authority. Now it's about collaboration. It's about more shared process. No? So everything about culture is about, I think, is what makes the people get together and trust each other. This is what we are here. No? We were in a more competitive moment. We will have a totally different mindset. No? But I think that culture is entering in the companies. The companies are starting to see in a different way that they are a culture ecosystem internally. And also externally, they play a role in the culture of society. No? So this is one of the other things. No? What is the impact of technology in your users' lives? No? You have people that they don't want to use technology. We saw before with the presentation that a lot of people were using Instagram, for instance. I was surprised at many of the things I didn't know. They are using technology in a more, I think, a cautious way. And in the end, what is the usage that the people do with technology? No? So, any comment, because there is it's a long presentation, and if you want to talk or say anything, feel free to interrupt or whatever, okay? because I can go like a steamroller, and it's siesta time, no? So, okay, so when we try to recognize an innovation opportunity, I don't know if you're familiar with this, in the 70s, Kodak invented the digital camera, no? And they said, no, it doesn't make any sense. It was crap. It didn't work properly. It didn't make any sense, no? But they invented the digital camera. It was rejected, no? And this, I don't know if you know what is this. This is a prototype of the iPad. Somebody said, okay, let's go. No? Somebody showed this and said, okay, there is something. No? Here there is nothing, here there is something. No? And innovation is about having the idea, pushing it, polishing it, and also having the right people so you can push it to the market. No? And then you have, I think, an interesting idea, which is this. Do you know this? This is you can taste it, I guess, no? You can see the taste, no? And do you think it makes any sense in the value chain of Colgate? Maybe you eat and then you clean. Maybe we're thinking about that. The thing is that somebody.
I use one Italian licorice, Marvis.
Really?
Licorice.
Oh,
It's nice.
didn't know about that. Yeah. So the interesting thing is that somebody said in Colgate, let's go for this. So sometimes innovation, don't do it, let's go. No? How do you recognize that something is going to be a success? No? Many of the initiatives that are disrupting the market, they are disrupting because the rest said this is a crazy idea. Doesn't make any sense. No? So when we talk about this, how do the people do this? No? How do the companies do this? And it's one thing that we call liquid expectations. And liquid expectations is that before normally you used to compare your insurance, your banking, your telecom company with another telecom company, with another insurance company, with whatever. No? And now the people are starting to compare with Apple, with Airbnb, with Uber, with Spotify. They're comparing with flagship experiences, no? With another brands, no? And this is the interesting thing, that the people that are disrupting the market, they don't think in terms of industry. They think in terms of experiences. And this is why they take the market without the other people saying, oh, Tesla, what a stupid car, no? It doesn't work, it doesn't have autonomy, whatever, and then you have one of the biggest electric car sales, no? I think it's the third now. And when you talk about design experiences, we use a lot this metaphor, no? Which is the iceberg metaphor. On one side is how it feels, which is the experience, what the user or the consumer or the employee or the citizen sees, and then on the bottom is how it works, no? What is the business model? How do you create value? How technology and operations work? What is the culture or the structure of the company so it can be providing the right experience and the customer doesn't feel all the complexities? What are the partnerships? How do they work? Whatever, no? So what used to happen with big companies is that normally they put the technology in the organization. You used to feel it as a consumer, no? Because you felt that you have the silos, you have the marketing was different than the experience that you have once you were a client. The call center was totally disconnected from the experience. And now what many companies are doing, and the startups, they don't have this big legacy, so they're starting from scratch. What they're doing is, I'm starting from the experience, and then I reorganize the organization. No? And this is how we are working with many industries now. No? Not with the case of publishing, because publishing has, I think, their silo consultants. They don't have, what we see, don't have the typical horizontal consulting companies. No? And the way they work, as we said, is the best experience wins. No? And I don't know if you know these desired paths. Are you familiar with this? When people say, don't step on the grass, and the people start doing this. So the people that design the right experiences, when you think in terms of product and industry, you have a need. What you have is you go through here, you have a credit card for the car, and then you got your need, which is moving. But other companies, what they're doing is, okay, let's forget about the industry. Let's try to create the right experience, no? And this is what the companies that are user-centric or customer-centric are doing. They are trying to eliminate the wrong frictions and put on top the right frictions. They can be digital or physical. No? And they also have a very open mind when it comes to competition. No? This is Reed Hastings, which is the CEO of Netflix. He said that our focus is not on Disney+, Amazon, or others, but on how we can improve our experience for our members. We compete with and lose to Fortnite, which is a good experience, more than HBO. There are thousands of competitors in this highly fragmented market, vying to entertain consumers and low barriers to entry for those great experiences. Again, best experience wins. No? He's thinking about what is the best experience. He used it with the DVD market, and then on top of that, he built another new business model, which was streaming. No? And he's combining everything and being all the time with data and providing the right experience, so they're growing on top of happy users. And also, he has even a more open way of thinking about competition. He said, we actually compete with sleep, and we are winning. The attention market has, how many millions we are? 7 billion people in the earth? 7 billion people, 24/7 attention, that's the market for these guys, okay? So it's attention. So if you don't sleep, if you don't work, whatever, for me it's okay because that's part of the market. I'm not competing with HBO, I'm competing for your brain. No? So this is the way many of these companies are seeing the market as a huge opportunity that many traditional companies are not seeing. No? And when you design also, you have to think what is the impact in different parts of design. No? So normally, many companies, what they do is they start with the touch points, with the interfaces. We're going to make a website, we're going to do a mobile application, a connected car, a connected home, whatever. We're doing the screens. No? You start with the screens, the people start using, and when you start having like a store, for instance, a website, a mobile application, you start seeing that the experience, the touch points are totally disconnected. So you start to orchestrate and choreograph the experience. So you create what is called service or experience design, which is creating like a score, like a music score. It's like having a violin and a trumpet, whatever, and then they're playing different scores. No? And suddenly you need to have scores so they play the same music. No? So you feel that this is the music of this company or the other company. And then the next part is impacting culture and organization. Many other organizations are looking at numbers, they don't look at people. They have focus groups and a lot of outdated research practices. So they have to change and put a shared consumer view. They need to do research in a different way and also share the visions of the consumer in the organization. No? Many people, as we said, they see users through dashboards and Excel spreadsheets. They only see numbers. They don't see the real people. No? I don't think it's your case in the publishing industry. No? I think you do more like focus groups. You are more closer to the real people. No? Right? No? What? Not enough. Okay. What you're doing, I think, is I have some friends working in some editorial companies, and they did a lot of focus groups. Now they are doing different ways of research, but I think it's more typical than in banking, telecom, whatever, I think. Okay, so you start with the touch points, then you create an experience with all the touch points, and then you start changing the culture and the way you organize, then the systems and infrastructure, because maybe the old way of having systems, now you have the cloud, different ways of organizing technology so you can go faster and in a more agile way. And also you have at the end the social impact, which is policies and regulation. And this is the Uber case. They started with an app, and then you have a social conflict. This is what's happening also with Amazon, with Facebook. You have a great user experience, a great touch point, and then suddenly they create a great experience. They have a culture that is changing all the time and being aware of the changes of the people, so they are all the time improving the service in an agile way. They have the best and more agile systems with huge servers and cloud services, so they're deploying continually with relative low cost new services and products, and suddenly they try to impact also in policies and regulations, so about privacy, about taxes, about many things. So when you design experiences, in the end you see that it has a lot of impact, because experience can change not only the way of the life of the user, but also the life of an organization and the life of society. No? So this is why you had all these companies in the magazine covers that are changing. They are here now. In fact, the company that most budget spends in lobbying in Europe is Google. So, and this is liquid expectations. This is what we see in many companies. I want to be the Uber of luxury, the Facebook of education. I want to be the Spotify of health. What's happened here? That these are the flagship experiences, the experience that all the people talk about. And these are the laggards, the industries. They still think in terms of industry. So suddenly they are realizing that these guys that didn't know about anything about cars, about music, about energy, about media, about whatever, they're taking the market by storm. And what they're doing is they're setting up the new expectations. This is why they're liquid expectations. No? And I don't know if you heard this. I want to be the Apple of banking, for instance. And I have this situation. I want to be the Uber of insurance, or I want to Uberize my co-workers, for instance. No? So these are the guys that set the expectations, and these are the followers. So this is, when we talk about liquid expectations, this is what we don't focus on what other health companies are doing. We focus on what is a great experience and what we can learn from that. No? And also you were talking before about, one of you on the stage were talking about breaking the silos and also looking what happened with Goldfinch, no? What happens in other sectors to get some inspiration, some ideas, no? Because it's the way that the great experiences are designed. They're not thought in terms of industry, they're thought in terms of what is the experience. We started from scratch, what would be this experience, no? The problem is that you have to disrupt sometimes your market, yeah?
I guess you need one very important factor. They also shift cost.
Yes.
Yes? They say, if you go back to my one slide, yes, if you just label it differently, not user experience, but user cost, social cost there.
Exactly.
You have exactly different scales.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that's important.
Yeah, and this is what this is one part about this, okay? Because in fact, we were talking before that Amazon was losing money for many years. Uber is losing money. So they have a symmetric cost model also. It's not only the social impact, but also they have huge, since they are global, they have huge investment platforms. So they can allow themselves to invest in acquiring clients. No? So maybe with Uber, there is a huge part of the ride that is paid by.
Amazon is perhaps a wrong example, but Uber or Airbnb, they shift costs.
Yes.
They take out the advantage of society by not getting the taxes in the case of Airbnb.
Exactly.
They lose.
Exactly. So exactly. So this is why we have the picture of the app, people, the social unrest, the taxi drivers society, or the people in the neighborhoods, young people starting not to use Airbnb because they're seeing that, okay, I'm going to Amsterdam, I have an Airbnb, but in my home city, I can't live in the neighborhood that I used to live because they're putting Airbnb. So people are starting to be aware of the impact of the usage of technology. Not technology, but the usage and the business models that these companies are bringing. No? So when we talk about experiences, one of the things that are happening is also that industries are moving from one thing that is nouns, for instance, having a car, to verbs, which is moving. No? It's not about money, banking, it's about the verb of having a life with money, no? They're not talking about products, they're talking about needs, no? I don't need a car, I need to move on the city. Sometimes I can need a car, sometimes I need a scooter, sometimes I need another thing. So you have many companies and no companies, they are investing and creating from private vehicle, shared vehicles, e-hailing, transportation cars, intermodal services, personal mobility, and also not moving yourself, but bringing the world to your home. You have Amazon Prime, you have Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Glovo, whatever. No? So everything is changing. The people say, I don't need a car because I don't need to go to shopping anymore because the shop is coming to my house. No? And when we talk about this, one of the examples is Uber. No? And one of the things they did is they didn't redesign the taxi. They redesigned the experience of getting a taxi. What is the things that piss you off the most of getting a taxi? So they solved that. In fact, the guy, there's a book, it's the story of Uber. I think they are fortunate to be alive because it has the real story until they were famous. No? In the end, Travis Kalanick started doing some P2P with files, no? And downloading of P2Ps. The idea, the pattern, he have like 2 different startups with this model of sharing files. One it was illegal, the other one was legal. And finally, when they sold the company, they created another business. It was also downloading files. The file was a car. I'm downloading this car that is empty and going to download it in front of me with a mobile phone. It was more or less the same. No? The mental model of this guy used to be the same. No? And also, the partner that was the real guy behind the Uber was a guy that hated taxis. The interesting thing about these guys was that at the beginning they have like a crappy application, and they were trying to convince limo drivers in San Francisco. They were Armenian, they didn't have any mobile phone, and didn't speak English. So they have this, I always said, if you have a business plan, put a budget for shoes, because you have to visit a lot of people in the physical world to convince them. No? And what they did in the end was that, and also they create a playbook to take the cities by storm, like a surprise, no? Getting enough drivers and then getting enough people, and then you have a crisis with taxis. But at the beginning, they started like infecting the cities. The business model was, or the operations model was kind of atypical, no? In the moment, no? Having a company from San Francisco, creating without owning anything, experience, no? An experience that was delegated to people that you don't know, no? So this was the interesting thing, no? Another thing that it did is once you get in front of the client, you start detecting new opportunities. No? So you have like a credit for buying new cars. You have payments for Uber drivers, for instance, because they get paid late, so they have like need a different way of being paid, like credit, being paid in advance, whatever. Also, they started with scooters. I fall from one of that last week. I have this, it's hurting my brain. I don't know what it's doing with almost 50 years old running a scooter. Okay, and also another thing they're trying a lot of stupid and logical things, no? But it's like the Colgate lasagna. They have a vending machine in the cargo, it's called. You can have, in the mobile phone, you can have offers, and you can pay and get in some Doritos, for instance, from the car, no? And also, obviously, they are thinking about the future. They're thinking about aero taxis, drones, whatever, no? Because they're not thinking about cars, they're thinking about mobility, no? In the general terms. They're thinking about cargo, they're thinking about freight, eats, whatever, no? And the important thing is, when you talk about technology, is you have these are the typical pictures, no? And for me, the real business model of this is this. Because I don't know, in my case, and many people that I know, it's not possible for them to work in a car. They get sick. And in these pictures, everybody's like reading, working, having a meeting. Everything is working 100% of productivity, 100% of focus. No? And they are totally involved in the experience of working. No? But the reality in the end is that you're going to sell a lot of drama mind, no? Of this one. And when we talk about marketing, this is one of the things also. No? Uber is not making money yet. It's losing, in fact, a lot of money. So, as we said, they are shifting the cost to society, but at the same time, they have a different way of thinking about finances and results. No? So, this is one of the tricks. Maybe what is happening is that Uber is showing the way to taxi drivers to improve their experience. No? But in the end, these guys are not making money. Taxis are making money, for instance. No? And this is one of the social debates. I prefer a taxi, I prefer a Uber. It's creating this experience. The success of this experience is creating a debate. But at the same time, we have to look. The experience, which was totally innovative, now is not innovative anymore. The technology was totally normal. It was open source technology. Whoever of us, we can do a Uber platform without any problem, because the technology is open source, is available to anyone at almost no cost. And also, what they had is the business model was at the beginning was good, but if you want to scale, it's totally different. No, it's one of the issues that they have. No. So, in the sector, if you think about the Netflix guy, who could be your experiential competitors in the? If you have to start from scratch today, like This is what Elon Musk, for instance, in the Tesla guy says. What I do when I design something, there is a principle in design, it's called first principles design, which is thinking from scratch. Not thinking of what it is, but going to the users, going to the consumers, and trying to solve a problem. So if your sector was starting today, how would it be if you don't have any, for instance, you are like an alien that arrives to the Earth and look at people, how they get entertained, what would you do with them? No? And this is one of the things that we have this problem with a lot with insurance companies, for instance. They talk a lot about themselves, and now they're opening. They're thinking about startups, opening to other sectors. But for many years, insurance companies used to be very, very close to the experience. They, no, we are an insurance company, we're regulated, and we are boring, and all the time like a lot of self-beliefs that put a lot of limitations. And now they are starting to open to startups, to collaboration, to different places. No? But still they keep a traditional core. No? So when we talk about the physical world again, and we're getting to the meaningful frictions, there is one thing that I call people as lessons. For me, it's like, what can you learn from interacting with people? No? Everybody has a story, no? And I think many of the spaces that we work with, we are starting having people. I'm not reading, but I'm talking with a lot of people in research, in workshops, when you travel, when you go to a library, you talk more with people that read books, no? So the people are starting to be like books, no? You read people's lives, no? And we're seeing a big change in physical spaces, no? And I don't know if you're in your case, but in my case, I'm visiting a lot of companies, and you feel that it's like a change in many companies, that the physical space is starting to look like a Starbucks. It's like a place, it was from cortisol, which is the hormone of stress, to oxytocin, which is the hormone of bonding, of trust, of relax, no? And it's like don't be scared, because I remember when I was like 15 years ago, more or less, going to a big company, you have these formal meeting rooms, and you was like scared, no? Oh, here comes the boss, no? And now it doesn't look like that. It looks like a lot of baristas there, no? And you don't feel threatened. You feel that you can share your vision and your experiences, and the people are more open to innovation. And this is, I think, why many places starting to look like that, because they want to take out all the drama of innovation. They want to make it more flexible and more kind, no, to people. And we're talking about how can you create a social life in spaces. There was a book, it was called The Social Life of Small Urban Spaces. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's about urban design and architecture, no? And the guy, it was William White, sorry, and he was talking about how the people get to different spaces, no? How the people go to Bryant Park, to Siena Square, to Callao. Here is different because now they are not place to sit down, but it used to be a place where it's very. So there are places that they can see other people. They feel that they are together with other people. I think this is one of the social spaces. The Matadero in Madrid, you have on the Sundays families, you have a lot of young people, different, diverse people doing things together here because the space is designed for that. No? Also, it has a theatrical design. No, it's like you look like it's like something that is a place that is good to see. It's like being part of a theater play. No, and also you can sit everywhere. This is what they're killing in some parts of Madrid. In Callao, you can sit down. There is like a huge people is getting there, but they're walking. They are not staying because there are no places to sit. No, and also they are designed for social interaction. No. One thing that people don't take into account is the wind and the sun. Sometimes people don't want to be there, and finally, food. Food is important, no? And this is what we are seeing in companies, in different buildings, in different shops, no? And these are examples, no? This is not a social space, but this is you can. This is like a Uber for supermarkets. You call for your mobile and you have a supermarket coming in front of you. This is one crazy prototype. Sometimes I don't know what is art, what is real, because it looks stupid, but suddenly when you see the lasagna thing, maybe it will work, I don't know. But now it's not even that you have a delivery guy coming to your house, but the store is coming to you, preloaded with the things that you are more probably buying. No? So is this designed for social interaction, for instance? And this, another thing, I think is a... This is the new retail from Alibaba. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Probably haven't changed much since the mid-'80s, and aren't as convenient as they need to be for today's shoppers. Meet the Huangs, the proud owners of this convenience store in Hangzhou, China. Their store used to look like this. Now it looks like this. But the real transformation is the store has gone digital. Alibaba created a special mobile app which provides the Huangs consumer analytics of their store. They can then use the app to order the items most likely to sell directly from one source and avoid having to deal with multiple distributors. This means the shop in your neighborhood is more likely to have what you are looking for.
So, as you can see, Alibaba, what they are doing, there are other videos with similar things with car dealerships, with travel agencies, with fashion stores. But what they are creating is like, they call it new retail, and they are creating like digital out-of-the-box experiences. So you can install and they connect with the logistic systems, with everything, so you can digitalize a store in record time with low cost, and also connecting not only with data, but also with products and services with the Alibaba business. So they are being like storefronts for the Alibaba business. Instead of being disconnected, they're having like they are being the physical part of Alibaba. So it's interesting. And this is also what is happening in many libraries, no? In many bookstores. You have a lot of people going for the sake of sharing the space and reading and disconnecting also from the outside. No? It's a little bit like church, even. No, the people go to the church and get like disconnected from the outside world. No, and also things that other companies are doing. I don't know if you're seeing that many big box stores are coming to the center of the cities. No, like IKEA, Carrefour. All these big companies are coming to the center with smaller shops like Amazon. This is the IKEA store in Goya. It was designed by colleagues of Accenture Interactive, and it's a connected store. And here the technology is totally soft. You don't see it. You have like this is a very interesting thing because it's like a light projection from and it's moving. So it's like a very is the map of the store, no? And also it's created with different areas. So you have, for instance, each of the areas looks like a different neighborhood in Madrid. It has the personality. You have Malasaña, you have Salamanca, which is more traditional. You have Chueca, which is the hipster and the gay neighborhood. So it has the decoration showing how IKEA can adapt to different styles, no? And also on the top, they have a cafeteria, and maybe it's the cafeteria that is most visited by people in Goya. So it wasn't the business, but look at that. The people are trying to find a place to meet each other. So this is an experiential, and it's an experiential store. When we were talking about the Starbucks things, the big change. Oops. Oh, that we're moving from transactional spaces to relationship spaces. This is what happened with banks, for instance. When you go to a bank or to a bookstore, whatever, you go to the counter and waiting, you have a queue. Now the places are thought in terms of having people just hanging around the place, no? And this is the big change, and it's happening with even with the business. You have more sofas than chairs in many offices now, no? Let's take this out. So this is, for instance, also another place is called the We Space it's in Berlin. This is Volkswagen. You have a dealership, but you have also a startup and a social gathering place. So you have like a lot of events, and they're not selling cars. They are also creating events about business startups, mobility startups. So they have like a television there, having people having cafes, whatever. This is the floor, for instance, in Tel Aviv. This is like a fintech hub. It's the same. It looks like a Starbucks, and you have a lot of entrepreneurs with big companies doing digital products for financial services, for banking and insurance. This is Bank. This used to be a very boring bank, and they had designers trying to reimagine the bank. It was one of the first experiences. And they started in 2004 with training people from the Ritz, the hotel, and also creating events. They started to create spaces to be, not just to acquire products and services. No? So you have Goya sessions, you have the product is almost physical, you have places to interaction, and you have a transactional part, which is smaller, because now you're supposed to do it with your mobile phone or with your... So when you need advice or real conversation, all the technology is using to eliminate all the boring interactions and the low-value frictions. So this is a meaningful friction space. No? This is how can we create something so technology can take the boring part of the work, the tedious part, and then I can have the best experience possible because technology is taking care of the boring part. And this is ING Cafe. They are one of the pioneers also in doing a cafe. So they have people browsing the web. They can have people, so you don't feel like push for buying anything. This is like bookstores, no? The people just hang around and they can get advice. They can have some advertising. They can be aware of some needs, some products, but it's not as aggressive as other spaces. No? And this is in Spain. Who's from Madrid here? From Madrid, anyone? No? Tres. Oh, three, okay. I don't know, did you see the Santander Cafe? Yeah, this is for entrepreneurs, startups, whatever. The idea here is the same. Santander traditionally used to be a big bank, leader bank, which should tend to be a little bit arrogant, complicated, no? and also with a lot of customers. No? So what they're doing is trying to get back to the client, and they're creating new formats. They're experimenting. Maybe they won't work, but it is, if I'm digitalizing everything, how can I create a space so that people can interact with me as a brand? And how can I get new conversations, not only about products, because the products, they are on the web. No, you can compare and buy. No? So what they're doing is, many companies, IKEA, Leroy Merlin, many companies, what they're doing is opening experiential spaces. It's not about only purchasing, but also being part of customers' life, giving ideas, inspiring, whatever. Okay? And also, obviously, libraries are doing more or less the same. The modern libraries are making people interact. There was one of the dreams is we were talking about the other day, no? When the people go to the mall, the young people, and they don't buy anything, but they are here because there are people around. They say, well, my dream would be having the same interactions in a library, no? In a public library. The young people getting together in the library as they are going to the mall. No? It would be, in my case, which is, I'm still romantic, I confess, it would be very nice. But the thing is that the libraries and these spaces are ready for this type of hangouts. No? And also, obviously, you have, now there is a lot of physical spaces doing a lot of activities, no? Social activities. In my case, I think Madrid is now bubbling with a lot of social and cultural things, but they're very independent now. Theater, music is small, there is no money, there is almost no business, the people are struggling, but I think there is a lot of creativity and people trying to create spaces to get together. You have the co-working also, the co-working fever, no? These people doing co-working because the people want to be, in fact, together with other people. They don't want to be alone at home. No? So it's interesting seeing how the physical spaces, through technology, being augmented or not, they are trying to recover because in the end, I think many people are okay with the screens, but they need also this human touch, this meaningful friction. No? So when we talk about transitions, what time is it? Okay. See, 15. Okay, when we talk about transitions, the idea is in your organization, maybe you have a dominant culture. It's the soldiers, which is about hierarchy, processes, scale, the business, no? The traditional business. But at the same time, you have, I think in the publishing world, it's more like that. Artists, people that are thinking about books, it's culture. It's not selling an insurance product. It's about a product that are complex, no? They are not easy, no? So you have, the idea is how can you, I think you're very good at connecting this, but maybe in some cases not good at connecting the new businesses. This is the problem. No? And how can you navigate tensions? Because this is not about black or white. There's a lot of grays. It's like the technophobes and the techno-optimists, no? Or techno-utopians. No? It's totally opposite. But in the middle, there are people that can connect and translate what means digital. Okay, so let's put it in your traditional business. The traditional business can invest in doing new things. So you're creating like a virtuous circle. It's not about the old business is dying, is losing, and the new business is the thing that you have to do, no? And when you start, this is Oscar. This is a simple insurance company built in New York. It's invested by Google. And I think this is the first principle declaration. No? They said that we didn't start this company because we love health insurance. Quite the opposite, in fact. No, there were people that were totally pissed off with insurance. No? And okay, we started something that is simple. And they start to focus on the pain points of the customers. No? Simple health insurance designed for you. Health insurance that won't make your head explode. And if it does, you are covered. And also, get a bright, articulate doctor to call you without having to join a dating site. No? So what they're doing is, okay, what is broken in the insurance industry, in the health insurance industry? So they're thinking about first principles design. Let's start from scratch. We are thinking like, Janus, okay, we understand what is the bad of our history, but we think in the future. No? So I think it's a very interesting mindset. This is the mindset of many people that start something. For instance, if you are in a big company, publishing company, and you leave because you are tired of doing things the old way, maybe you can start knowing what is the practices of the industry, at the same time imagining what you could start from scratch. No? And this is how innovation happens. No? People that are seeing what is broken and trying to create something totally new. No? So we go back to Hanno, and this is the way that we work. No? This is the incremental from something to something better, which is like, let's improve 10%. And we're talking about the strategy and operations. We're not changing mostly anything, no? And also, you have from nothing to something. So new product, new technologies, which is let's grow 10x, no? And in the middle, you have the Janus people or the mediators, but they're trying to combine the old business, because you have to keep, this is what pays the bills at the end of the day, and also the new. And if we move, again, you have the hierarchy, which is the process, the big machine of the company, which is the algorithms, the processes, regulations, the billing, all the people doing standardized work, all the big office, no? Accounting, legal, whatever. And also you have the network, which are the innovators, the people that they don't have a structure yet. They're startups, they can be people that are trying to do new things, they don't have any process yet, no? So again, you have investment in this part, and also at the same time you are transferring the new here. And you have to keep a balance with this and that. Because the problem that happens in many companies, well, this is what Google more or less does, no? They are running the business, getting the money, but at the same time trying to disrupt their own business. So all the time, like a virtuous circle, all the time. Totally focus on customers, no? and users. And this is in two big blocks what happens. No? You have the industry mindset and also the experience mindset. The problem with this is a lot of people call that digital, no? And they said you are the cool guys and the rest is like legacy. And that's a problem. You have to love both sides. You have to take care of both sides. You can say that these guys are the cool guys. This happened to Steve Jobs. They call the artists the new guys, the designers, and the operations guy they call the bozos. So when he left Apple, and he came back, in the end, he started to understand that the operations were very important. So he started to take care of both at the same time. No? So the companies have to be able to, because these people used to get arrogant. No? I'm digital and you are the old regime. No? And you have to be very aware of this because you can break the culture. You need a culture. When you connect, you create a space where the new and the old can talk. Because if not, you can break it. No? Obviously, people that think in linear, they don't understand how this, for them, these people that think non-linear, they are chaotic people. No? And industry mindset, you can see this is the typical image. No? You feel the power and the structure and it's rigid. No? And this is the new companies. No? You have a lot of collaboration, the use of data, a lot of connected ecosystems. They are obviously, the publishing is one of the biggest ecosystems that they are. You have content, you have distribution, you have a lot. But it's thought in a different way now, no? And also new products and services. Some of them work, some of them not, no? But you have more agility to launch any products and services. You're improving them all the time, no? That is going to do this. And when we talk about, well, the time is, when you talk about, okay, let's go with this. When you talk about this part, I call it the 4 states of the matter. You have like 4 states, no? I'm a guy, I study law, so I'm a letters person in Spain. And I thought there was only 3 states. And one colleague of mine, who's a scientist, told me that there are 4, Luis, you forget plasma, no? And when you talk about solid, this is the industry, the mindset of the industry, the pure mindset of the industry is you put some money here, you go through these processes and through these benchmarks and whatever, and you get this on the other side. It's like a very linear, no? It's like a insurance, banking, telecom, whatever, no? When you go to the liquid, it's the part of the business that you can improve. It's about the experience. How can you create on top of this insurance experience, what makes the insurance company A different to insurance company B? One part is obviously the processes, the algorithms, the technology, but at the same time it's the experience that they provide, no? And the experience now is more liquid. Why? Because many years ago it was about investing in advertising, and more or less it was control. Everything was very predictable, no? Now you have social networks, omni-channel, different formats, whatever, so it's totally different. So managing this part is different than managing the old part. This is the old way of doing business in many industries, no? The regulated industries, huge industries. Then the gaseous, and plasma, the gaseous are the new models. And it's gaseous because you have the cloud, and the cloud is, you have one company like Uber with a cloud business, or Amazon without doing any investment, they come, PayPal with banking, WhatsApp with telecom, with messages. They don't do any investment from the cloud. They don't do any investment in physical Airbnb, you name it. And they start getting the money to the cloud from the different markets. They have a record time deployment, no? So this is another way of thinking. And many companies, what they're doing is trying to create this type of gaseous models on top of their old core. This is when the companies are starting to launch new business models. No? You have, for instance, in BBVA in Spain, they're launching a lot of different products and services that they don't have to do a lot with banking. They are thinking more about it. You have, for instance, the baby planner, which is for you are going to have a baby, what is the financial impact in your life? You're having also the traditional banking app, which is here, but you have here baby planner, application to find a house and make simulations. You have different business that connect with the traditional business, no? And then the other part is what we call the moonshot. The plasma is something that is totally impossible to think about, no? And this is, for instance, with mobility and taxis, no? Taxi used to be like this, no? They optimize. The taxi is what it is. But suddenly, with Uber, they realize that they have to redesign and reimagine the taxi for the future. They have to improve the experience, no? Because you have here a model that didn't have any taxi. And at the same time, you have the vision of having a drone arriving in front of you, no? So the companies that are doing good, they are trying to combine these different states. These two, which is the best possible business and operation with the best experience in the product, and also new business models, and also preparing for the future. So this is key in many companies, because what we see in traditional companies that they're focused on this and a little bit of this. And this is one of a huge problem, because they don't see everything that goes from the other side of Janus. They disrupted even their mental model, because they are not able to think there are different ways of doing money, no? So it's very important to have a radar and people from outside the industry to tell you what is happening, so they can interpret and also see the impact of the things, no? So in the end, when we design experiences, we need spaces. This is people working. We need to connect the information processing, which is the machines and the people, but not people doing this, because this is not low value. But you have to build a centaur, no? Which is like the body of a horse and the body of a the power of a horse and the body of a human. No? You have people collaborating and also at the same time people operating and executing the change. It has to be connected. It doesn't mean that these people are the boring guys and these people are the cool guys. It doesn't mean like that. It's that everything is a whole. It's a connected entity. No? And this is the typical process of design. No? We do this. This is in Fjord in Berlin, which is one of the offices. As you can see, most of the people here, they are giving classes in universities. Most of the people here, they don't have, for instance, I study law. So if I want to work in this, I have to be in talks, I have to be interacting, reading, have to be active in training myself, in detecting what is happening. It's very important. So all these organizations are thought in terms of people collaborating and learning all the time, because what I study, my job didn't exist when I finished in the 90s. So I almost invented my own job. No? I'm working, you can see me. And it's very manual. This is very meaningful because you are interacting in a non-threatening space with people. No? And this is a typical thing that we do. When you create experience, we create, like, this is a typical consulting thing. We have a user input. We understand what is the consumer experience and what the expectations, and we create the experience which looks sometimes like a comic. No? We create the experience, and then, sorry, we find how can we organize and measure the experience. No? And this is the part which is about processes, it's about systems, it's about organization, whatever. No? So you have like a part of discovering, envisioning. You create the ideal experience, and then you create how it works, how it feels, and how it works, like the iceberg before. And then, obviously, you plan it, and you create a roadmap for transformation. Sometimes it's a huge transformation, sometimes there are small touch points, sometimes it's a new product. It can be very different things, no? But you create a lot of concepts. We don't do a huge investment for creating something. Sometimes it's like a prototype just to test if it makes sense or not, no? So when we work, we used to do this, no? This is the iceberg, as we said. We understand first the experience. We compare even with people that are not from the industry, so we can benchmark the best practices. And also, we understand what are our capabilities, our business, and strategy. So in the end, what we're doing is redesigning and adapting the organization from the customer experience. And to finish, the idea is that when you think in first principles, the Wright brothers didn't have a concept for plane. They didn't have a noun, because you can see here, you can see your more familiar plane. But they didn't know. They were thinking about wings, about flying. No? They were thinking about the verb, about flying, putting a man on the air. No? They weren't thinking about a Boeing or an Airbus. They were thinking about that. And for that, they tried with 38 different wing surfaces. So maybe for you, I think it's more or less the situation. No? How can you create this mindset of beginning again? No? And thinking from first principles, what should be the experience, and also what should be the relationship between the new experiences that you have to design with the old business, so they can live together and also evolve together, learn from each other, and the other one invest in the other, no? Not just getting like, I'm a loser, you're a winner, or whatever. No? And I think we are on time, yes, more or less. I have more, but I stop here. I think this is a good slide to go out. So if you have anything, yeah, okay, thank you.